Today on Bakes and Blenders, we are talking about piping basics. In this video, you're going to learn how to prep a pastry bag, how to fill the bag with your buttercream, and how to pipe buttercream like a pro. So let's get started. To fit a piping tip in your piping bag, start by placing your tip in the bag and pushing it all the way to the end. Decide where the bag should end and score a line with a pair of scissors. You'll want about the top third of the piping tip to be sticking out of the bag, so make sure not to score too far back, otherwise your tip could pop out while you're piping. Push the piping tip back up the bag out of the way and use your scissors to cut the bag where you scored that line. Then slide the piping tip back to the front of the bag and press it until it is as far pointing out of the bag as possible. In that first clip, I was using a 12-inch piping bag with my favorite piping tip, the Ateco 888. This same technique works no matter what size bag or piping tip you're using. Here I am prepping a piping bag that I'm going to be loading up with macaron batter. So this is a 16-inch piping bag and I'm using a much smaller tip. I want to say it's a 12. As you can see, the process is exactly the same, although with a much smaller tip, I am cutting off a much smaller amount of the piping bag. The process is also the same when you're using a coupler, but there are a few things to keep in mind. When I score the line on my coupler, I always do it right above where the spiral starts, because once you clip and you push the coupler back into place, it's going to slide up a little bit further and you don't want this to pop out of your bag. You're going to want to use a coupler when you plan on using the same color buttercream with different tips. This means that you can unscrew the coupler, change the tip, and then screw the coupler back together. To fill your piping bag, place your bag inside of a tall cup and fold the edges of the bag over the edge of the cup. Use a spatula to add your buttercream to your open piping bag. Be careful not to overfill. Shoot for only filling the bag about halfway. Give the cup a few taps on the counter to knock out any air bubbles that might be hiding in your buttercream. And now you're ready to lift your bag out. Carefully squeeze your buttercream down towards the tip, but don't squeeze it out yet. Give the bag a few twists and hold it firmly in your hand. Here you can see I have overfilled my piping bag. Now this is a chocolate Italian meringue buttercream. It is very soft and I'm only piping swirls on cupcakes, so I'll be able to handle this, but if you're just getting started, you really want to make sure that you don't overfill your bag. We'll get to that later. The secret to piping buttercream like a pro is pressure. You'll be squeezing from the top of the bag. Your thumb and pointer finger will pinch to keep the bag sealed, while the rest of your hand squeezes the bag into your palm to pipe the buttercream. When you're piping onto a cupcake or a cookie or even the top of a cake, you want to make sure you're holding your bag perpendicular and moving at a steady, measured pace. The pressure of you squeezing the bag and the speed at which you move the bag is what's going to affect how your piping looks, and you'll adjust based on the style that you're shooting for. I have shaky hands, so keeping the bag steady can be really tricky for me. Use your non-dominant hand to gently guide the piping tip. That second hand can prevent your bag from squiggling all over the place. It's also important to make sure that your bag isn't overfilled. An overfilled bag is very hard to control and it is hard to maintain steady pressure. Let's discuss some frequently asked questions. Should I chill my buttercream before using it? You don't necessarily have to, though I usually do. It's important for the frosting to be on the cool side of room temperature. If you've made a batch of buttercream and it feels too soft or warm, cover the bowl and put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes. Keep in mind, Anytime you've let buttercream sit for a while, you'll need to beat it with a spatula or in a stand mixer on low speed to get the right consistency again. Soft buttercream can be tricky to pipe, especially if you have hot hands like me, but at the same time trying to pipe super cold buttercream is going to lead to bag explosions. You want to shoot for buttercream that has a little bit of resistance, that is not falling off your spatula, but you can easily move and spread around with your spatula. That's when you know that you're at the right consistency. And don't forget, you want to remove as many air bubbles as possible because that will really create problems for you while you're piping. How do I pipe a basic swirl on a cupcake? For a basic swirl, start in the center of your cupcake, holding your bag perpendicular and a little above the cupcake. Squeeze and allow the buttercream to build up slightly and attach to the cupcake. Then pipe, making an E shape. Right as you come around to the beginning side of the cupcake, release your pressure, continue the motion, and pull away. Let's see that from a different angle. After you pipe this swirl, you're going to end up with that little tail of buttercream. It doesn't look gorgeous, so I always try to hide it. This is a perfect time to showcase your flavors, like the pistachio in the filling of this cupcake. I'm topping it with that. Add some sprinkles, decorate with buttercream flowers, do a drizzle of chocolate, whatever makes most sense for the flavors and theme of your cupcake. How do I stop buttercream from oozing out the back of the bag? If you have a good grip on the bag and pinch it close as you squeeze, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you have trouble gripping the bag, I have inflamed tendons in my wrist, so I do get that. Or if you're still figuring it out, you can use bag clips or a hair tie to keep the bag closed. The most important thing to prevent your bag from oozing, though, is your grip. You twist your bag, and where that twist of the end of your bag meets the bulge of your buttercream, you're going to lock that into your palm. So the buttercream should be sitting in your palm comfortably. Your thumb and your pointer finger are going to pinch together, not in a death grip, but nice and solid, and that is going to prevent that buttercream from going up the bag and out all over the place. As you pipe, your buttercream levels are going to go down. When that happens, slide your hand down to squeeze the buttercream back towards the tip, give it another twist, and lock yourself back into position. If there's enough tail on that bag, you can even wrap that around your finger to further lock that buttercream into your bag. I hope this video tutorial has taught you how to prep, fill, and pipe like a pro, and that you are confident and ready to tackle your next buttercream project. If you feel like you need to learn more about buttercream basics, check out the video on your screen. Thanks for watching!